Well, hello everyone. I want to welcome you to this week's YouTube Live. My name is Tula Tzoras and I'm the founder of the Areti Goddess events, which is set up to empower women personally and professionally so that we can change our statistics and close the gap. But again, this week, with the coronavirus and the impact it's having in the world, this is another live on coronavirus coping skills and resources. And I've actually been busy putting all these resources together for you. And I've put them all on one page, so there's only one link for you, and you'll see that below. But they include lots of resources, which I'll go through later on. And tonight's topic is taking control of our destiny, and is that possible to do, and overcoming things like anxiety, which is plaguing us at the moment. And, you know, just to lighten the mood, today I saw on the news there was a raid, a Danish raid, and they actually stole a Van Gogh, and I thought, they must have good taste. So, you know, there's always the law of opposites. So there's always a silver lining to everything, and that's what we're going to look at today. And, you know, because by now we are familiar, unfortunately, with loss and grief, powerlessness, anxiety, panic, and the impact of that putting us in isolation has given a rise to addictions, domestic violence, and even, you know, noticing that people are really lashing out at each other as well. So how do we deal with all that? And by the way, if you are a victim of domestic violence, 1 in 3 women in Australia alone are victims of domestic violence. If you are in that situation, please reach out. And, you know, I know that those kinds of reaching out sometimes is very frightening and it takes courage. But even if you can talk to a friend, and there are lots of support groups, you can find them on social media or, you know, organizations that can help you. And of course, you are most welcome to book in a free coaching call with me as well. Now, having said all that, all of these feelings that we're feeling are completely valid and understandable, because we have found ourselves tossed in a situation of chaos and uncertainty, which at the very best of times is very frightening for people, for us. And, you know, that's because all of our known structures and our safety blankets, like, for instance, those of us who have lost a lot of money in the stock market or lost their income, they're gone. And here is the thing, the landscape keeps changing. So how then do we take control of our destiny? Is it possible? And I'm here to say that yes, it is. So why don't we start by breaking things down? First of all, we know that we cannot control our external world. We can't control the chaos that's going on around us, okay? What we can control is our response and what we do. And understandably, loads of us will be suffering from insomnia, from anxiety, and all those things at the moment, which we're going to get to, so don't worry. Having said that, we can control our reaction. That means we can create what we want to, because, believe it or not, we do have the power. I'm going to give you an example, okay? And if you see me looking down, it's because I'm referring to key points here. So here's my example. Have you noticed that in the past, when there have been major crises, there have always been people who have benefited from those crises? They have risen up and grasped opportunities to thrive and grow. Now, why is that, do you think? There's an alarm going off here, so I'm sorry if that's distracting for you. It's certainly not distracting for me. I'm fully focused here. So why do you think it is that some people benefit and others don't? What it comes down to is where their focus is and what the perspective is. And again, I'll come back to this in a moment, okay? What they do, in actual fact, is they create opportunities out of obstacles. Now, I happen to be an expert in creating opportunities out of obstacles, but here is a tip on how to create opportunities, okay? The first tip I'm going to give you right now is that we must ask the right question. For instance, when we face a roadblock, an obstacle, a challenge, do we ask, why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? How did this happen? And do those questions actually help the situation? What if instead we asked, well, what do I do now? This is the situation. When we actually look at this situation as it is, and there, even though it's a changing landscape, there are quite a few things that are staying the same, okay? And again, we'll talk about those in a minute. But asking the right question is actually looking at the situation and doing our best to remove the emotion out of it. And when we can look at it objectively, we can say, okay, this is the situation. What do I do now? That immediately opens us up to resourcefulness and ideas that come pouring through, and inspiration as well. So here are my tips now to take control of your destiny in the current environment. The first thing I'm going to say to you, my friends, is prepare for the worst and plan for the best. There is no harm in being prepared, that's for sure. The second tip I will give you, which I know is a massive problem for you right now, is release your anxiety. Now, what I've done is I've actually prepared a free download for you, and that's available in the link that is in the description below, because what I've done is actually prepared quite a few resources for you, and in that download you're going to get a lot of practical and easy tips that you can put to practice to give you almost immediate relief. So getting back to releasing our anxiety, there are a few tips that I will give you right now, and there are three major tips that I will give you. One of them is to increase your oxygen input. And you can do this with breathing exercises. If you actually practice yoga, you will know how to breathe properly, but you can look those up. There's loads of YouTube videos, lots of footage, etc., to teach you how to breathe. But putting it simply, breathing deeply and slowly into your abdomen instead of into your chest, because when we breathe into our chest, that is a sign of anxiety. So what we want to do is actually breathe deeply and slowly into your abdomen, and you'll know you're doing this when your tummy is rising as you breathe in and falling as you breathe out. Now, a very simple exercise is to breathe in slowly and hold your breath, especially if you're particularly anxious. Hold your breath at the end of the in-breath and then breathe out slowly again. Another tip I'm going to give you is a yoga practice, if you don't practice yoga, that you're going to find really, really restorative. It's called Viparita Karani, or as we put it, legs up the wall. Okay, so basically, if you can do this a few minutes a day, it has so many benefits for you, including decreasing your anxiety, great for insomnia, great for blood pressure, and all those things that are plaguing us at the moment. So the way, again, you can Google legs up, even legs up the wall will bring it up to have a look at the full list of benefits. But the way you do that is you just pop a blanket or something on the floor and edge up, the sitting down, edge up to the wall and then lie down and pop your legs up straight at a 90-degree angle, and just do that for a few minutes. Up to 10 minutes a day is ideal. That will really help you with your anxiety levels. And again, with oxygen input, doing yoga is fantastic. It's my highly recommended exercise because it does bring you into your center and balances you and teaches you how to breathe slowly and deeply. And it also releases cellular trauma, which we hold in our bodies, okay? But any type of exercise that can actually increase your breathing and your oxygen input is really fantastic. The next thing to look at, particularly if you worry a lot and you notice that you are quite negative perhaps, or even if you don't notice that, if you're worrying a lot, you will know, is to change your cognitive thinking. Now, this does take more practice, and it does take eliminating limiting beliefs, those beliefs that create patterns that we know are destructive to us, okay? And I'm going to go further into that on other YouTube videos. Now, another great thing you can do is reduce and regulate your cortisol levels. So basically what happens is when we go into anxiety, we release cortisol. It's our fight or flight response, which is automatic to us humans. And in actual fact, we notice that when we wake up because our blood sugar levels are really low. And of course, when we go to bed feeling anxious, we wake up feeling anxious as well. 87% of us wake up feeling bad. So there are some simple ways to reduce your cortisol levels. And one of them, you'll notice I'm screaming because this alarm is still going off, and I'm not worried about it because it's one of those drills that happen. Now, a simple way to reduce your cortisol levels is to eat regular snacks during the day and to avoid things in your diet like, would you believe, things that we do hold on to as crutches like smoking, alcohol, coffee. Avoid those. Also avoid fried or processed food, and things like foods like blueberries or dark chocolate, fantastic. Chamomile tea is great for reducing your cortisol levels. You can, again, search that on Google, how to reduce my cortisol levels with my diet. That's a great way to do it. Oh, the alarm's gone off. Isn't that great? So another way to reduce your cortisol levels is to make sure you get 8 hours of sleep, and the times that our bodies regenerate are between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. So this is all to reduce your anxiety and your cortisol levels, okay? Another way to reduce your cortisol levels is, as I said, to eat regular snacks so they're regulated during the day. And another way to reduce cortisol levels is listed, actually I've got all of them in the article, and the tips, the comprehensive tips, as a free download for you with the link that you'll find below. So I'm going to move on now to the next tip, which is releasing our resistance to change. This is a big one because change is quite frightening for most of us, and it is something that we must practice to cultivate, okay? Now, the thing about change that we know is that things change all the time. At the moment, things are changing at a very, very rapid rate. So it is in our benefit to actually release resistance to change. And a great way of doing that is by getting a good night's sleep, because when we sleep, we do release resistance and allowing. Which brings me to my next tip, and that is to find acceptance in this situation, which I realize is not easy for you at the moment, but what is the alternative? Okay? The alternative is looking at what we have lost and our attachment to what we have lost. Now, this is a Buddhist belief. It's finding detachment, and again, it's not an easy thing for us to do, but a great way to release attachment, even though it might be tied in with your identity, for instance, your profession, or it could be the amount of money that you had that you no longer have, perhaps. But a great way of finding acceptance is actually starting a gratitude journal, which is a really good thing to do before you go to sleep as well, because that will shift your perspective to what you have now. Again, asking the right question, not what have I lost or why did this happen or why did this happen to me, but what do I have now? Finding gratitude for it, which will put you in a really good space to go to sleep with. And that space will be the space that you will wake up with in the morning as well. So it is a really great idea. What I recommend to you is to build detachment, and a great way of doing that is actually making a list of things that you can't do without, and then perhaps making a list of things that are available to you at the moment, and then working on ideas about what you can do with these things. So it is really about changing your perspective and your focus, which is the reason why some people make hay and thrive when crises happen and some people don't. Okay? Now, this is how we can actually be strategic. I'm going to Byron Bay's in Australia, and he works in hospitality as a restaurateur, as far as I understood. I was kind of hearing it from another room, but I was really, really impressed with the way that he looked at the whole situation, because of course we're in isolation, so he can't run his restaurant. What he focused on was the fact that now that he was actually delivering food to his clients, it gave him more time to focus on what he loves, which is actually preparing food. And what he was focused on was the time he was spending with his family and doing the things that he always wanted to do at home. So when we think about it, we do have a lot. If we actually weren't so panicked and worried about our income and all the fortunes and money that we have lost and paying our bills, which, number one, there's nothing we can do about. And on that note, I'm going to take your worry away straight away, because all bets are off at the moment. If you're worried about paying your rent, your mortgage, your bills with the situation as it was before. Now, the situation has drastically changed. The fact that on one side we've lost our income and our fortunes means that on the other side we cannot possibly pay our bills, our rent and our mortgage. And even the government now here in Australia is taking measures to freeze payments. So when we actually take that away, haven't there been times when you've wished that you could get out of the rat race, that you could spend time at home to actually rest and reflect and spend time with yourselves? spend time with your loved ones? Aren't there things that you've wanted to do at home? When we look at all of that, when we look at quality time we can have with our loved ones and all the creative projects that we can start, then our perspective changes and we start seeing it as a gift. And on that note, I will say to you that online business is a rapidly growing $1 million business. And of course, we have all gone online now and finding ways to deliver what we used to do online. So I will say to you, this is an opportunity for you. If ever there was something you would love to do and you're able to take it online, now is the time, because word is online business is the way to go in the future. And on that note, Goddess says the Areti Goddess online program is all about starting your own business. It gives you everything you need. And even if you're not sure of what it is that you would love to do, because trust me, there is a unique talent that you have that you can share with the world. We're all here to fulfill a purpose and a passion, right? So the program, the online course that I've developed, also gives you the tools to release any negative blocks you have there and access your purpose and passion. So have a look at that. But at this moment, I will say to you, if there's a way that you can take your business online, do it. And again, you can book an online coaching call with me. Now, here's the thing. And here's my next tip to you. We have lost a lot. And perhaps this is a time to reflect on what we've taken for granted before. And I've got a personal example to share with you because I thought it was quite funny. I went grocery shopping the other day and I found toilet paper and bleach. Can I tell you, I felt like a little kid at Christmas time. I was so excited that I found toilet paper and bleach. And that made me think that there is just so much that we take for granted and still so much that we can be grateful for. So do start a gratitude journal because that will really help you and make you feel happy and also bring more of what you're grateful for to you. The next tip I have for you is on how to handle aggression. Because when we're afraid, a lot of us do tend to become aggressive and lash out. And, you know, we can see it even going shopping at the supermarket, or perhaps friends of ours or family members feeling fearful and stressed and anxious, lash out. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips now on how to deal with aggression. The first tip I will give you is, even though you may be attacked at the time, consider finding compassion for the person who is attacking you, because that person is clearly in a lot of pain. A great way to disarm someone who is actually being aggressive is to stay calm and stay in your center. You'll notice that if you stay calm, if you don't actually retaliate, this will diffuse the situation. Here is an opportunity on that for my next tip, which is to become what you want to see in the world. Because when we radiate peace, or what we want to see in the world, it has a beautiful impact on those around us. So again, it's all up to us. because we can't control externals, right? So if you can find it within yourself, know that you do have the power to create your own reality. It all comes down to your thoughts, which are translated into your emotions, causing your anxiety at the moment. So I encourage you to download that free download because it has a comprehensive list of tips that you can put to practice, and they're quite easy as well. Now, what I'll do now is go through some of the resources that you can find on that link, because I've been, as you know, I do YouTube Live every Tuesday at 6 with tips to empower you and to assure you that changing our perspective will bring you results, okay? So it's all about focusing on the positive and not the negative. So it's not about looking at the past, it's about creating a brand new future. And of course, the beauty of being online is there are loads of support groups on social media you can join, and a lot of services are going online as well. It's a new way of relating, and I have to tell you, I live alone. And because I've been working from home for the last couple of years, I've been isolated, if you want to look at it that way. And there are so many things that you can do. For instance, my yoga studio has very kindly offered live streaming videos of 3 classes that I can do at home. So I'm doing my yoga at home. There are so many things that we can do. So enjoy your time. The resources I have for you are the free download I mentioned about releasing your anxiety. Now, for the goddesses, I have organized a free preview to the Areti Goddess online program. And another thing I've done for you goddesses, for the next 30 days during these difficult times, I have actually reduced the Areti Goddess online program from $997 down to $97. So check that out, because that's 9 modules. That's a lot of content that you can use right now. Trust me, this is the perfect time. The other thing I've done is for the next 30 days, you can become an Areti Goddess monthly member and pay just $29 for the first month, and that includes group online coaching and a whole lot of other resources, as well as the support of other women empowering women. You're going to love it. So that's available for you as well. The other thing I've done, in case the Areti Goddess online program, all of it is what you don't need to do at the moment, is I've separated the modules. And at the moment, you can buy individual modules from the Areti Goddess online program of your choice for $29. That's for the next 30 days. The last resource I have for you is I've organized a free download of the Areti Goddess Guide, so that's there for you as well. I do hope that this empowers you today, and I'm not invalidating what is going on in the world, but if you find watching the news anxiety-provoking and stressful, stay away at the moment from anything that causes you anxiety, and focus on your cognitive thinking and on staying positive and what you can actually create. This is a time for us all to be creative. So with that, I'm going to leave you, and I'll see you next week on the same bat time, same bat channel, and I wish you amazing success always. Bye for now.